And if you jump ahead, for how many years later, 50, 60 years later, Vince McMahon Jr., when he starts his promotion, he's doing the same Roy Welch deal. Probably like Layfield was kicked out of the town for some reason or another. Couldn't come
Possibly.
back. So
Possibly.
at this time, Roy is very sharp. He's developing this band of gypsies, so to say, to go around promoters in these individual towns that he can place. Then he's got his own guy in these individual towns, and he's pretty sure of himself
Yep.
that everything will go right. The network of guys that we're all guys that Roy are building. We're all guys that were coming out of the business as I was getting ready to go in. My own Pat O'Hare's, Charlie Carr's, Charlie Lage, and guys like that would all play a big part in future wrestling down the line. He was so sharp and getting the Nick Goulises and all these guys. He's putting together all these cast of characters to help him promote.
He's a hillbilly CEO, man. I mean, he's just a good old country wise, country smart guy. And when you look at the territory era in the later years, when you look at a Florida, for example, when you had Eddie Graham in Tampa, but then he had Chris Dundee in Miami, and he had Don
Milo Steinborn
in Orlando.
Don Curtis up in Jacks,
and Coach John Heath in Sarasota.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Pat O'Brien or O'Hare down in Lake Welch, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Yeah, and so all of that we saw later, it all started here, where Roy is putting together his group of guys to run his towns. Plus, he's touring himself, working for other people. He's working Louisville. He is working in Birmingham for Chris Jordan. He is going around and main eventing and is a draw. And he's booking Nashville.
Yeah.
He's got a job.
Go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say, and he's got a job booking Nashville that he's getting regular percentage of the card in Nashville.
And if you jump ahead, for how many years later, 50, 60 years later, Vince McMahon Jr., when he starts his promotion, he's doing the same Roy Welch deal. He's putting me in the South. He's putting Jack Lange up in the AWA territory. He's got James Bresloff out on the West Coast. So he's putting all these guys, he's building this out basically just the game plan that Roy Welch had 50, 60 years before him.
And to put it in perspective, it was the same scale that Vince was operating. So Vince has taken the whole country, right? Well, in this era, that area that was the world to them. I mean, the newspapers were not being read in these different towns by these people. They were not communicating. A lot of people didn't have phones. They were just starting to get electricity. A lot of the roads were gravel. A lot of the transportation was by boat. So to put this geography of towns together with this network of guys would be equivalent to modern day technology and doing like the whole United States. I mean, based on the tools he had at the time, it was really a marvelous accomplishment.
As I'm reading your review, that's basically the picture that you painted for me, because it, like we said, John, I always say nothing's the first. So I looked at when I was reading, I said, man, this sounds just like Vince, what he did when he was starting out. And he put guys that he trusted in, and Eddie did the same thing. Eddie had Don and Milo and John and Pat and Chris Dundee down. He had all these guys that he put together that were trustworthy.
And a lot of times they were guys that had worked for him. I mean, in Sarpolis in Amarillo, he had Gory Guerrero. He had Pat O'Dowdy. He had Baby Doll's dad, Nick Roberts. He had Don Slatton.
Don Slatton, a lawman,
Yeah, he had all these former workers that were now town promoters,